Okay, so this is me. What we're working on today is a Honda CR125 shifter motor, right? Okay, so here's the cylinder head right there. Here's what they call the jug, which would be the cylinder part itself. Here's the intake, right? That's where the air goes into the engine. We have the carburetor. We have a little elbow to make it turn away from the seat bracket and an air filter. Okay, this little doodad, that's the coil or spark igniter or spark plug, obviously. And right down here is some sort of engine control module. So we have this all tucked away, so it's sort of aerodynamic and relatively easy to get to. What we're going to do first, we're going to take the air cleaner off. Just look through the screen so you know what we're doing. We're going to take the air filter off so we can get to the slide, so we can see this where the slide's at. Okay, so right in there, I don't know if you can see it, the little half moon looking thing at the very, very top is the slide, right? There's a little needle in there that helps the mixture at low RPM. Okay, so Colton, hold that right there like that, look down in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the cable and you'll see the slide move. That's the accelerator cable. So when the pedal's pushed, this little thing goes up to allow more air, more fuel to go into the engine. Okay, so first things first, we're going to adjust that slide so it only goes up a quarter of the way, not half, just right at a quarter. We're going to guess because we don't have a measurement. We don't have a Okay, so throttle cable, here's the throttle cable right here, right? We have it routed down here out of the way because when we drive, our leg is like right here. Okay, we don't want it to get in the way of the leg. So here's our throttle cable because it goes down and makes the turn around the exhaust, and it goes up here. Here's bare stuff because we don't have to worry about that. This is to keep everything from getting caught up in the clutch, in the shifter, in the water hose, and all that. So here's the exposed wire that's connected to the slide inside the carburetor. We have a little sleeve to keep it from getting rubbed on that little eyelet right there. And here's the throttle accelerator pedal. We have a pedal extension for shorter drivers just because we're cool that way. So down here we have two stops. Might be easier to see from the side. This stop is the idle stop. It keeps the pedal from going too far that way and it dying. Okay, this stop right here is a throttle stop. That's a wide open throttle stop. That's the one we're going to adjust. The way you do that, you get your 10mm wrench on here, you loosen the lock nut, right? And then you can adjust this bolt here in or out depending on what you need. And then just retighten it before you go down track. So go back there and then look in the carburetor and tell me when it's about a quarter. Okay? Way up.
Lower.
Less?
A little bit less.
Oh, hey.
That's good.
I can't adjust out. Yeah, I can't adjust out. So here's what we're gonna do. So how far?
Right now we're at.
Well, we'll get what we can, and we'll just have to go with that. And anything low throttle, short throttle, is going to be pilot. So that's as far as I can get. So where are we at? Right there.
Yeah, that's a little under half.
Okay, well that's what we're going to do. Okay, so
Eat your donut.
now that we're adjusted that way, we can start adjusting. We can start changing parts and stuff. Showing you where everything is. Hold this. So we'll do a quick rundown where everything is at. This is the slide channel. You take these two screws out. These screws stay in the slide cover. which is really cool. Fewer parts to lose. So this comes out, this slides right out, and here's the slide. That's what you see. That's what you see looking through the tube, through the intake. Here's the needle, and it's got a flat part here. It's got a different taper here, and then it's got the idle tapers at the bottom. Each one of these is very specific for your conditions. Okay, the way this comes out, this spring right here is really cool. It's really long. Pull the spring all the way back, tuck it into the slide cover, right, to expose that cable. So the cable, I don't know if you can see in there, cable slides right out. What I'll do is I'll take this little piece out, and you'll see where the groove that this goes into. Okay, we'll slide that out of the way so it doesn't get lost. This is where the 1/4" nut driver comes in. Just loosen that up. So this is where the needle is, right? And there's 5 clip positions on this needle. Okay, so as you can see, now that I get this cleaned off a little bit, there's a flat section, right? And then there's a tapered section, right? It tapers a little bit here, tapers a little bit different here, and tapers a lot at the bottom. Each one of these is very specific for your situation, all right? It's on clip position number 4. They count from the bottom to the top. From the bottom, it's richer. You go up to lean it out, okay? So back to this little thing right here. Take the spring off so we don't lose it. So this little hook right here goes into that slot to lock it in. So that when you pull the throttle cable, when you push the throttle pedal, it pulls this up, which pulls the whole slide up and down. If this is not locked in, it's not going to work right. Okay, so there's that. So we have a DGJ. You probably can't see it, but it's right there above my fingernail, DGJ. That's the needle that we have on there right now. I'm going to put it back in because we had good luck with it yesterday. So that'll be our good baseline start right there. We'll put all this back together. Needle goes in that little hole, right? Slides all the way down. And this goes in the top. And then we use the tool to put it back together. Once that's back together, I'll take the carburetor off the rest of the way to show you where all the other parts are. So we'll take this pipe clamp, adjustable clamp off here so we can get the carburetor completely off. So there's this rubber part. That's part of the intake. There's that rubber to give it a little bit of flexibility, right? There's a notch at the top. There's a notch on the carburetor. Put the notch in the carburetor, notch in the top of the intake, and you're good to go. All these hoses are to vent the bowl and to allow better fuel flow in and out of the bowl that holds the fuel that goes directly into the engine. Okay, so we'll go into the fuel system later on, but for right now, we're dealing with this carburetor right now. I'm gonna grab a funnel real quick. We're gonna dump this into a bottle so we don't make a mess on the ground. Then we'll take the bowl off. Okay, hold on right there, don't move. Isn't this exciting? Is that mine? Can you eat my donut?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So we have a funnel, we have a bottle. I use just a regular water bottle because there's lots of them around. Okay, so we put funnel in the bottle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide the cart forward a little bit so we have something to set the bottle on so we don't drop the bottle. So now we have a work surface to catch the fuel. Pull the bowl vent to the tank out. And be careful, that might dump fuel too. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to dump this fuel out of the notches. Hey, stay tuned. These are notches to help everything vent in and out of the bowl. Okay? So we're going to dump everything into the funnel. Maybe. There we go. So So we're catching everything that was in the bowl into the bottom. Okay, and that's mostly everything. If we turn it back up, it's going to drip a little bit, and hopefully we can dump the rest of it out. There we go. Okay, so we have that going for us. We're still going to drip some, but it's not going to be the whole bowl's worth. We'll take this out, put the lid on it so it doesn't spill. Don't do anything right there. All right. So this is what the fuel looks like in the bowl in the tank, because it's not clear like a regular car fuel because we put 2-cycle oil in it. That's a different video.
It looks like grape juice.
It looks like grape juice, but it's not. It doesn't taste anything, doesn't smell anything like grape juice. All right, so we're going to flip this over. Pull this back a little bit so we don't make a mess in the truck. Flip this over.
It's not your truck.
All right.
There's a whole lot.
So this is the bowl. This is where the Phillips screwdriver comes in handy again. There's 4 bowl screws, right? 2 of these hold the bowl vent tubes, right? You just take all the screws out.
They're screwing you.
I'm unscrewing me. Some people undo the fuel line. Sorry, I don't have a battery to worry about igniting anything, so I just leave the fuel line hooked up because it's easier to keep track of stuff. As you can tell, the carburetor's not square, not flat. It's hard to work with if it's not flat. So I use it as a kind of a tether. Keep it from falling on the ground and stuff. So the bowl is loose, all the screws are out. We'll make sure these screws keep the lines on the bowl. We're going to pull the bowl this way. There's a tube right there that goes into the main bowl. Bless you. Goes in the main bowl vent. This tube goes right to the tank to vent all the extra vapor out of here to the tank where it's vented to the atmosphere. So anyway, so
it blows back.
Here we have the main jet. Pilot jet's deep down inside there. Another opportunity for the quarter-inch socket or tool. Right now we have, I don't know if you see it, it's a 168 main jet. Okay, got it? That's easy to get to on the top.
We like our main jet.
That's not our main jet. That's just, I think that's it. So here's the main jet.
I know.
You don't want to tighten them down too much or they'll strip out and you won't be able to get them out ever. So we don't want to do that. So inside here is the pilot jet. This is the transition between 0 throttle or idle up to quarter throttle. Not half, because by the time you're at half, you're at wide open throttle range. So we're going to tip it out like this, and that's the pilot jet. So these comes in several different ranges. This one should be, I don't know if you can see it. This one is a 58. There's lots of different sizes. Today we have a 58. It worked good, sort of good for us yesterday. We're going to try to fine tune it today. Goes in there. We use a straight slot screwdriver to make it so it won't fall out. And then we'll put everything back together, get us on the track, and see how it works out. There's an app on the phone. I believe it's called Honda Sierra 125 Tuning, or Jetting, or something like that. I think it's Jetting. And we try to use that as a baseline. But we find out that we have to go, if you see the main picture, you'll see main jet, pilot jet, clip position, clip number. We've found that we have to go at the bottom, the fine tuning, to a -3 for it to work for our conditions. Everything's different, everybody's different, so keep that in mind when you're tuning your cart. If it sounds like it's, spitting and sputtering, it's typically going to have too much fuel going into the carburetor. So you need to find a way to slow that fuel down. So you can do it the clip position is the easiest with the slide. You don't have to pull very much stuff off to get this out to make the clip adjustment. So as you can tell, this is changing the jets is kind of an ordeal. It usually takes 15 minutes or so if you have everything available. Are you watching what I'm doing there? So So again, with these screws, this is all aluminum. You don't want to tighten it too tight, it'll strip it out. These won't work. So if you're wondering about stickers on the cart, for all the old folks that don't know what we're doing here, so this name right here, Bis, that's what it said. It's an Italian manufacturer of carts and cars and parts and stuff in Italy. There's a thing down here. I don't know if you can see, it's kind of raised up right here. That's what they call homologation tag, right? It's got a date on it, and you can race this cart internationally for so many years after that thing was put on there. So this is our series sponsors for Midwest Division solo events. This is another sponsor for the same Midwest Division SCCA solo events. Acceleration Karting, kart racing. They're the guys that get most of my parts from. Call them up, email them. Great about answering questions. And this is them again, AKR, Acceleration Kart Racing. This is my number in competition. This is my class in competition. And this again is the kart manufacturer. We have tires. MG's the manufacturer. The green is what makes the difference. The different colors have different compounds to make it work right.
Look it up.
Okay, so that's another video as well. These are directional. Where it says cart, there's two arrows going one direction, so they have to go this way for them to work right. If you go the other way, they may not work right. I don't know, I've never done it. So, and on this cart here, we have a 25 tooth rear sprocket, and you may not be able to see it very, very close, but up front there's a 15 tooth front sprocket. If you do the math, that's a pretty quick acceleration gear setup. So anyway, there's that. Let's put this carburetor back on, get it fired up, get on the track, and see how it's going to turn out. Hold this over here, buddy. Once you dump the bowl, it's going to take a couple of pulls to get it to fire up again. No big deal. Sometimes we just splash a little bit of starting fluid in it, and it pops right off. And that's usually enough to get the fuel pump to draw the fuel in to the carburetor and can't send it in. So we put this adjustable clamp back on. So there's that. So what we're looking at here, remember I said there's a notch? There's a notch right here, right? Move your finger. There's a notch, and there's a little bump off the carburetor, and we're tightening that clamp down. Okay? Alright, so we're going to leave the air filter off until we get it fired up, in case we need to splash that starting fluid in it. We need to reroute this to the tank bowl vent, just to keep it out of the way and to make sure we're keeping the atmosphere clear of all fuel fumes or whatnot.
Why are you nodding and wetting it?
I'm not nodding. Okay, so are you watching?
Mm-hmm.
So we're pushing the spring back on to the slide cover, right? And it's kind of tricky. It's like a slinky, if you remember that from way back. So we're trying to find that notch with the end of the throttle cable. Sometimes that gets tricky too. Once you find it,
we're not having any luck.
once you find it, you can hear it click in there. Let's get the cable back out again. I just want to hear it. So there's that. I always give it a tug before I let go it to make sure that it's in there. Release the spring slowly so it doesn't go boing all over the place. And then we put the slide back in the top of the carburetor. So you can go online to figure out how this actually works. That's a different video. I'm just showing you how to make the changes and the adjustments. It's actually not rocket science. The hardest part is to figure out where to start and what size of jets to put in the carburetor. That's the tricky part.
If we get 10K likes, we'll do a video on the tires.
If we get enough likes, we'll do something about the tires and the gear swapping and just every little bit that we're learning about this cart. And we are learning tons. So, anyway, thanks for watching and keep tuned.